All right, folks, we're going to do a little thread response today to George G's Room of Rock. He did this video about 2 weeks ago, probably, about he wanted to see the first 10 albums from the first 10 bands that you got into. Not the first 10 albums, period, but the first album from each of the first 10 bands. And at first I was like, man, that sounds kind of difficult. I don't know if I can remember that far back. But I've since seen a few other people, video responses to George, and each time, you think on it a little harder. So I think I've got the 10 here. The order may be a little out of whack, but I'm pretty sure these were the first 10 bands I got into. And of course, it all started off with the granddaddy of them all, Kiss Alive 2. These are all my OG vinyls from way back when. So if they look a little rough, it's because they're 40 plus years old. Oh yeah, this is the one that started it all off. Saw a guy wearing a Kiss Destroyer t-shirt. Didn't know who they were. Thought it was a comic book, so I asked him about it. He told me it was a band. He said he was gonna let me borrow one of their albums. He brought Kiss Alive 2 to school, but his mom wouldn't let me borrow it, but she did let him bring it to school. So yeah, I went home, told my mom that's what I wanted. She said, bring home A's and B's on your report card and I'll get it for you. I did, she did, and the rest is rock and roll history. Next up, Adam and the Ants, Kings of the Wild Frontier. Now, inner sleeve just has lyrics. I don't have the original inner sleeves. My Kiss Alive 2, being the vinyl novice that I was, I thought that they were just like extra plastic on the vinyl and crumbled them up and threw them away as soon as I opened up the album. But anyway, I saw Adam and the Ants. I remember seeing them on Solid Gold. I liked them. And of course, my mom and parents, trying to find anything to steer me away from the evil that was Kiss. Because by this time that I got this album, I probably had like 7 or 8 Kiss albums by then. They bought me this. I think it was for Christmas. May have been birthday. I can't remember. But I love this album. It's one of my all-time. It's definitely in my top 5 non-hard rock heavy metal albums of all time. Great album. I've actually been surprised to see how many people have gotten into this album over the years. Well, that were into it back then too. Then next up we have AC/DC, Dirty D's Done Dirt Cheap. Now this came out in '81. Inner sleeve here. Now, of course, Back in Black was all over the radio. And being the contrarian that I was, I didn't want Back in Black because it was the popular AC/DC album being all over the radio. And then this one came out, and of course they were playing the title track on the radio, and I really liked it. Found out it was a different singer. Found out this album had a track called Big Balls on it. That's how this ended up being my first AC/DC album. I think my next one, I even still not wanting to get Back in Black. I think my next one was For Those About to Rock, and then maybe, I think it's Highway to Hell, and then High Voltage, and then maybe after that I got around to getting, I may have got to Let There Be Rock before Back in Black. Then we have Ozzy, Diary of a Madman. Yes, this is my first Ozzy album. Classic shot of his touring band at that time, not the guys who played on the actual album. I think I was prompted to get this after hearing that Ozzy. I didn't know who Ozzy was. I didn't even know who Black Sabbath was. I think I heard about him biting the head off a bat or something. Maybe you want to go get this album. And I don't know why I got this one instead of Blizzard of Oz. Maybe because it was I bet it was because it was the newest one. That's usually the way I worked. Because I remember the album cover was very scary to me, especially the little kid. He just freaked me out the way he was snickering over there in the corner. And then we eventually made it to Black Sabbath. Now, I knew that Ozzy was in Black Sabbath beforehand, but I had never heard Black Sabbath, didn't know anything about Black Sabbath. A friend of mine whose parents were hippies and had a massive, probably 3,000 vinyl collection, and I mean, this is in the early 80s. I mean, they had everything. And he would go in their records and just dig through them and find stuff. And he actually found Black Sabbath's greatest hits, which is what I went looking for at the record store, unbeknownst to me that it was an import. I didn't know that. But then I found this and saw that it had all the songs that were on that greatest hits plus more. I'm like, well, I'm getting this. I one up Bob by getting the double album of greatest hits compared to his parents' single album. Because yeah, that's the way you wanted to go, or the way I went a lot. You know, if you could get a double albums were probably like $8, or single albums were probably like $8, and doubles were $12. So you're getting 2 albums for the price of 1.5. So if it was something you wanted, yeah, you definitely jumped on it. I don't think this one had any inner sleeves, not just the clear Warner Brothers sleeves. And that's how I ended up with this one. Lures to Cult, Extraterrestrial Live. Now, this was another one. I went to the record store to get Some Enchanted Evening. Everybody had Some Enchanted Evening. And that's what I went to get, and this was like a new release. So I was like, oh man, this is a double album. I knew it had Godzilla on it, which I think was like the main draw for this album. There's anything. Yeah, there's just plain white sleeves on those. So yeah, I went to the record store to buy Some Enchanted Evening. I saw this one, grabbed it. Still my favorite BOC live album. Has the definitive version of Dominance and Submission on it. Veteran of the Psychic Wars, Burning for You, Black Blade, ETI, Joan Crawford, and a killer version of Roadhouse Blues with Robbie Krieger on guitar. Then we got Iron Maiden, The Number of the Beast. I can remember going to the record store for this one. I went on a trip to the mall with my mom. Any excuse to go to the mall was seized upon. And she went off and did whatever she was doing. I went to the record store. When she came back and was saying, let's go, I was holding on to Number of the Beast and Highway to Hell. And I was like, Mom, which one of these should I get? And she's like, I don't like either one of them. So I went with this one, since I already had AC/DC. I think my next purchase after this one was Highway to Hell, but Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast. Imagine throwing this on for the first time. Never having heard Iron Maiden. I had seen their albums, and they were always kind of freaking me out. But I think I may have heard, they may have played, we had a pretty cool radio station in a small little town. They may have played Run to the Hills, so I may have heard that. But I hadn't heard anything else of it. And we got Scorpions, Blackout. This is another, I'll mention my friend Bob. I don't know if he bought them or I doubt that he found them in his parents' record collection. He may have found another album I'm going to talk about in his parents' record collection. My innards get a split in it. But he showed up with, and they were on cassettes because he used to have this massive boombox. And so he always had stuff on cassette. And he had Blackout and Best of Scorpions. And man, I was just like blown away. Because maybe, I don't think they were playing No One Like You yet on the radio, because I don't remember having heard of the Scorpions. I had remembered seeing this album cover in a record store because I was like, man, that looks cool, but I don't know who the Scorpions are. And you know, I knew about some of these album covers, like Meatloaf, Bad Out of Hell, Tricking You. So, but needless to say, this is still my favorite Scorpions album. My next Scorpions album purchase was Best of Scorpions, and I mean, my maybe next 2-3 favorite Scorpion albums are Uli. I do love the Uli Jon Roth era more than the latter Scorpions, but this is still my favorite Scorpions albums. I mean, when the weakest track on here is their #1 single, that tells you everything you need to know about how great this album is. And then, I thought we were last but not least. Nope, we're only up to number 9. Another album that everybody had back in the day. Aerosmith's Greatest Hits. I saw this thing not too long ago. I think this, and I may be lowballing it, but I mean, this thing had sold over 10 million copies. And it was one of those albums, like I said, everybody had this album back in the day. I don't think there's any inner sleeve on that one, no plain white one. So yeah, and then I remember getting it and I was mad because it didn't have the full version of Sweet Emotion on it. It had the edited version. So yeah, I think my next Aerosmith purchase was Toys in the Attic, so that I could get the full version of Sweet Emotion. And then, last but not least, good old Uncle Ted, the Motor City Madman. No, another plain white sleeve. I think that this was my 10th album. It could have been Cheap Trick at Budokan, but I think that once somebody played for me Cat Scratch Fever and Wang Dang Sweet Boom Tang, that I probably opted for Terrible Ted over Cheap Trick. Cheap Trick was probably number 11 for honorable mention. Alrighty, folks. You guys have a good one.